or have another print disability which makes reading, holding a book, or turning a page difficult or impossible. The content is copyrighted by the respective publishers. For more information, please visit us on the web at nfradioreading.org.
Hello, this is Jonathan Roger, and for the next hour I'll be reading from the April 23rd East Aurora Advertiser on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. The first article is entitled Aurora Officials Explain Roycroft Tax Settlement by Sean Cunningham, staff reporter. Town of Aurora officials say a recent settlement with Jamal's Roycroft LLC significantly reduced the assessed value and resulting tax bill for several Roycroft properties while avoiding costly and lengthy litigation. At an April 13 town board meeting, Supervisor Charles Snyder invited Town Assessor Stephen Pidgeon and Attorney Joel Kurtzholz to explain the agreement which resolved an Article 7 tax assessment challenge filed by developer Douglas Jamal. Under the settlement, the assessed value of 4 Roycroft properties, including the Roycroft Inn and Chapel, was reduced from $1,135,300 to $210,000. The change lowers the town tax bill from $9,549.60 to $1,766.42, a decrease of more than $7,000. Kurtzholz, who represents the town in assessment disputes, said the decision to settle was based on financial risk and the likelihood of prolonged court proceedings. Armed with that information, the town had 2 choices, Kurtzholz said. They could settle the action, or if they wanted to take it further, then they could get a court-ready appraisal report, probably wait a couple of years by the time you got into court to have the decision made, and then try the case and see what the court would have decided. He estimated that pursuing the case would have cost the town $30,000 to $40,000 for appraisal and legal fees alone, not including potential tax refunds with interest if the court ruled in favor of the property owner. You're also paying interest on those refunds, Pidgeon said, so that could be a lot more substantial than us settling the deal right away. Jamal purchased the properties from the Wendt Foundation in a transaction completed in 2024. The foundation, though a nonprofit, had previously paid taxes on the properties except for the chapel because they were used for commercial purposes. After the purchase, Jamal's Roycroft LLC challenged the town's assessment, arguing it was inflated. A commercial appraisal commissioned by the developer aligned with the purchase price, Kurtzholz said, describing the sale as an arm's-length transaction in which both parties acted independently. Officials noted that property taxes are based on assessed value, not market value. Aurora's equalization rate, currently 24%, plays a key role in determining assessments and has declined as residential property values have risen. The assessed value is determined by multiplying the equalization rate by the perceived market value, Kurtzholz said. He added that if the case had gone to trial and resulted in a reduction exceeding 50%, the town could have faced additional penalties. It was our recommendation to the town that the smarter way to proceed was to settle the matter, he said. Councilmember Jessica Armbrust acknowledged the outcome but expressed concern about the financial impact. These are the unpleasant costs of doing business, Armbrust said. The next article is entitled, Iroquois School Board Approves Proposed Budget. Budget hearing scheduled for May 12th by Shelley Ferrulo, editor. The Iroquois School Board approved the proposed 2026-27 budget during a meeting on April 15, along with a proposition to purchase 3 new school buses. The proposed budget, which is just over $61 million, which is 1.43% higher than the current budget. The district was facing a gap of $600,000 when the budget was presented to the board in March. Business Administrator John Wolski, who presented to the board at the meeting, said all areas of the budget were examined to close the gap, and the district removed anything that was not truly needed for next year. We really whittled things down, Wolski said. We evaluated all staff retirements and if they were required to be replaced for next year. During the meeting, the board also accepted the resignation of 8 teachers who plan on retiring, along with Douglas Beto, who is the assistant principal at Iroquois High School. All teachers will be replaced, Superintendent Douglas Schofield said. There will be a modification to the administration. Schofield is proposing reducing the position from 12 to 10 months. He said that assistant principals take care of day-to-day school duties, such as taking care of attendance records, creating substitute lists, disciplinary issues with students, and teacher observations. These duties take place when students are in the building, so that is when the new position will work. This will save the district money and allow the same functionalities that have always been there, Schofield said. We may look at them coming in a few days over the summer. The tax cap for the proposed budget is 2.1%. Wolski said that each year the district plans on placing $1 million into capital reserves for future projects. He anticipates the savings will be slightly lower for the 2026-27 school year because the cost of fuel, electricity, and technology is increasing. The district is planning on replacing all of the computers for 3 grade levels. Each student receives a computer from kindergarten through 12th grade. Iroquois has a schedule to replace them every 5 years. There are supply chain issues, and we are seeing price increases of 10 to 20% for laptop computers, and we will probably not receive the order we have placed by September 1, Wolski said. The district also plans to replace around 100 cameras on the campus as another technology purchase. Wolski plans on using funding that was left over from the 2020 capital project to cover the cost. The second proposition on this year's ballot after the proposed budget is to replace 3 buses on the school district's fleet. One of the buses will be a full-size bus with a wheelchair lift. The full bus can fit up to 3 wheelchairs, and it can be converted to a traditional bus if necessary. Because of the popularity of unified sports, we can fill a full-sized bus with students rather than 2 small ones, Wolski said. A budget hearing is scheduled for 6:30 p.m. Tuesday, May 12th at Iroquois Middle School on Girdle Road in STEM Room number 96. A regular meeting will follow the budget hearing. The budget vote and school board election takes place from 7:30 a.m. to 9 p.m. Tuesday, May 19, in the intermediate building gymnasium on Girdle Road. The next article is entitled Elma Accepts $171,500 Renovation Bid for Old Highway Garage by Sean Cunningham, staff reporter. The town of Elma has approved a $171,500 bid to move forward with renovations to the former highway garage at 2170 Bowen Road, including roof replacement and structural upgrades. At its April 15 meeting, the town board unanimously accepted the lowest of 4 bids, awarding the contract to Innovative General Contracting, LLC of West Seneca. The project includes a flush roof design, which officials said will help reduce the risk of leaks. Each of the 4 bids included 2 options, a 2-step roof or a flush roof created by adding a knee wall. The flush roof option increased costs by about $8,000 to $10,000. Council members voiced support for the added expense. An extra $8,500 is a good sense of security for the future, Code Enforcement Officer Joseph Colern said. Councilmember Joseph Macaluso agreed, while Councilmember James Mizkluski noted the design would minimize potential leaks. The project also includes installation of new gutters, a furnace, doors, and glass block windows. Deputy Highway Superintendent Mike Malecki added that the contractor preserve existing concrete pads so they can continue to be used for material storage after partial demolition of the building. During discussion, board member Nolan said he had initially opposed the project, preferring to sell the property, but changed his position after further review. I do think it's going to be a really good asset, not just for the highway department to use for storage, Nolan said. There's other things in mind that we're considering, multi-use. In a separate vote, the board unanimously approved a $6,900 contract with United Precision Construction Services to remove damaged roof trusses in the portion of the building that will remain. The total cost of the project, including demolition, asbestos abatement, utility relocation, and restoration, is expected to come in just under $200,000. Officials say they aim to complete the work by fall. Let's get this done by the fall, Macaluso said. In other business, the board observed a moment of silence for former town clerk Karen Hoppy and longtime volunteer firefighter Joseph Gother. Officials reported that 22 building permits were issued in March, generating more than $5,800 in fees and representing approximately $2.9 million in construction value. The board also approved funding for the town dog warden to attend training in the town of Webster, as well as the bidding process for 2 grant-funded projects, replacing doors at the Elma Senior Center and upgrading the HVAC system at the Elma Public Library. Business use permits were approved for Phantom Fireworks at 5710 Seneca Street and Fitness with Lee's, LLC, at 2329 Bowen Road. Matt Caluso recused himself from the fireworks vote. A preliminary use permit was also granted to Celino Plumbing for construction of a pole barn at 611 Bullis Road, along with a new employee parking area. Brush pickup is scheduled to begin April 20th. According to the Erie County Sheriff's Office, deputies responded to 418 calls in Elma in March, including 36 traffic stops, 19 accidents, 1 involving injuries, 7 larcenies, 5 fraud reports, and 3 arrests. The town board will hold a work session at 6 p.m. May 13th, followed by its next regular meeting at 7 p.m. May 20 at Town Hall. You are listening to a reading of articles and features from the East Aurora Advertiser on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. The next article is beneath a photo of a check being presented to a woman by a man and a woman, and the title is Westfall's Donation. Cheryl Shenny, Gretchen Bro, and Bill Panzica hold a $2,500 check, a donation from the Scott Beeler Family Foundation for the West Falls Hometown Heroes. The check was received during a veterans benefit at the West Falls Center for the Arts last Friday. The next article is entitled East Aurora Lions Club Offering Scholarships. The East Aurora Lions Club recently announced the availability of scholarships for graduating seniors of the class of 2026 from East Aurora, Holland, and Iroquois high schools. As part of the club's ongoing commitment to servicing East Aurora and surrounding communities through volunteerism and civic involvement, these scholarships are designed to recognize students who demonstrate outstanding dedication to community service and academic achievement. Each scholarship is $1,000. Winners will be selected based on community service involvement and academic standing. Applicants must provide proof of acceptance to a college or university for the fall 2026 semester. Applications are available at each high school counseling center. The deadline for submitting completed applications is May 1. Eligible graduates are encouraged to apply and take advantage of this opportunity. Students with questions should contact their counseling center. The East Aurora Lions Club remains dedicated to strengthening the community by volunteering time and supporting the next generation of leaders. To get involved, email eastauroralionsclub@yahoo.com. The next article is entitled Three Corners Bluegrass Festival to be held in August. Three Corners Bluegrass Festival is set to bring 6 hours of traditional bluegrass to the Annex, 12139 Olean Road, Chaffee, on Sunday, August 30th. The concert will run from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Headlining the festival is Special Consensus from Illinois, joined by the Hazel Project Band from New Hampshire and Buffalo Bluegrass All-Stars. The day kicks off at 10 a.m. with a performance by the Western New York Fiddle Kids. Buy tickets at www.eventbrite.com/e/grass-festival-grass-festival-festival-224-207-017. And please feel free to call in to have that web address repeated to you. The next article is from the Aurora Police Report, and it's entitled Patrol Car Strikes Vehicle. An emergency call was made on Gray Street and responded to by a patrol car at 5:30 p.m. Thursday, April 2nd. According to the report, the patrol car had lights activated and was traveling westbound on Main Street, approaching the intersection of North and South Grove Streets. Pedestrian traffic was observed entering the crosswalk from South Grove Street, slowing the patrol car, which was initiating the siren multiple times to alert the pedestrians in the crosswalk and vehicles at the intersection. The pedestrians moved from the crosswalk back onto South Grove Street, and the patrol car began to travel through the intersection. A vehicle operated by a 34-year-old male from East Aurora was then observed to enter the intersection, crossing Main Street from South Grove Street to North Grove Street. The front of the patrol car struck the right front of that vehicle. Both vehicles were pulled to the side of the roadway on North Grove Street. The report says the driver stated that he did not observe that the patrol car due to a visual obstruction, the stone column of the Roycroft wall on the southeast corner of South Grove Street. The driver and an 8-year-old male passenger were assessed for injuries, to which they stated they were not injured. Damage was observed to the right front fender of the driver's vehicle. Damage was also observed to the front push bumper and front bumper of the patrol car. A lieutenant arrived on location to assess the damage to both vehicles. The lieutenant also spoke to 2 witnesses. Graffiti. Graffiti was reported on the building of a business on Olean Road that occurred sometime between 3 p.m. Sunday, March 29 and 8:30 a.m. Monday, March 30. According to the report, black paint markers were used to write words and acronyms on the business's north window, as well as the north side of the building. Additional acronyms were written on the west side of the building. The 36-year-old male victim from East Aurora sent video surveillance from the front east side of the business, which showed 2 male youths on bicycles doing stunts on a toilet left outside of the business. There were bicycle tire marks on the ground near where the graffiti was made, but no video surveillance in the area. The victim stated he would be washing off the graffiti, but wanted the above incident documented so that people know that this behavior is not acceptable at his business. Assault. An assault was reported by a 37-year-old female who stated that her sister, the 42-year-old female victim, was working at a restaurant on Ernst Place and was injured by her coworker, a 22-year-old female subject from Buffalo. According to the report, the victim stated that she had arrived at work at 5 a.m. Friday, April 3rd. The subject arrived to work around 7 a.m. The victim went on her lunch break and returned at approximately 10 a.m. The victim was putting food into the microwave when she felt something hit her head. When she looked down, she noticed it was her metal water bottle that was sitting on the table approximately 5 feet from her. The victim stated that the subject had reportedly picked up the bottle and threw it at her. Forehead at close range. The victim was in physical pain and had a large-sized bump on her forehead. The victim stated that she went to immediate care and was diagnosed with a closed head injury. The victim stated that she does not speak to the subject at work and no words were exchanged prior to the incident. Video surveillance of the incident was viewed. The victim stated she is fearful for her safety and well-being when the subject is around. A A statement was obtained from the victim, who requested a full stay-away order of protection. A criminal summons was issued for the subject, and paperwork was forwarded to the court. Public lewdness. A 31-year-old male from Machias and a 24-year-old female from Arcade were charged with public lewdness following an incident that took place on the Mill Road Overlook at 9 p.m. Friday, April 3rd. According to the report, 4 vehicles were observed to be in the parking lot of the overlook. Patrol pulled into the parking lot and illuminated all 4 vehicles with the patrol car's floodlight. Contact was made with all occupants of the first 3 vehicles, and they were advised of the park hours and told to vacate the premises. The 4th vehicle was parked approximately 20 feet away from the other 3. No one was observed occupying the front 2 seats. Upon illuminating the rear seats of the vehicle, the report says the subjects were physically intimate. Both parties were advised to cover themselves. Both individuals were arrested for public lewdness and were processed in the parking lot. Arrest on warrant. Orchard Park Police notified dispatch that they had a male in custody on Transit Road in Orchard Park who was showing an active arrest warrant out of the town of Aurora for 3 charges at 1 p.m. Saturday, April 4th. The 49-year-old male from Oakfield had warrants for grand larceny in the 4th degree, unauthorized use of a motor vehicle in the 3rd degree, and harassment in the 2nd degree from February 24th. Custody was taken of the subject. He was transported to the station and processed without incident. The subject was arraigned and released on his own recognizance. A stay-away order of protection was issued, protecting the victim of the original incident from the subject. Leaving the scene. An abandoned vehicle was reported on the property of a 63-year-old female from East Aurora at 7 a.m. Sunday, April 12th. According to the report, the vehicle was located on the northwest corner of the complainant's property on Hillcrest Road that borders Bowen Road. The vehicle appeared to be involved in a minor motor vehicle accident with damage to the right rear tire and corresponding damage to a nearby tree on the complainant's property. There were skid marks in the grass that indicated the vehicle had been traveling northbound on Bowen Road when it lost control going around the curve just before the intersection with Hillcrest Road and left the roadway. The vehicle appeared to have additional undercarriage damage, with parts observed hanging off the bottom of the vehicle and touching the ground. The complainant stated that she had discovered the vehicle when she returned home from work. Buffalo police were contacted and requested to check the address of the 45-year-old female registered owner in an attempt to locate the driver. The registered owner was contacted and stated that her 24-year-old daughter had been the last person to operate the vehicle. The vehicle was towed from the scene, and the driver later responded to the station. The report says the driver stated that at approximately 2 a.m., she had been driving home from work, traveling northbound on Bowen Road, approaching the curve just south of Hillcrest Road. The driver stated that her vehicle began to shake and make strange noises, indicating to her that it was about to break down. When the driver looked to the dashboard to gather more information about what was going on, she left her lane while entering the curve and went off the road, sticking the aforementioned tree. After the crash, the driver discovered the vehicle had become disabled and could no longer move, so she contacted a friend to come pick her up. The driver stated she had been unaware that she was required to contact police to report property damage, motor vehicle accidents, and had been trying to arrange for a private tow to respond and remove the vehicle. The driver was cited for leaving the scene of a property damage accident and moving from a lane unsafely. Petty larceny. A delayed report of a larceny at a Gray Street Plaza store was made on Wednesday, April 15. According to the report, an employee of the store who works as a loss prevention officer showed patrol surveillance camera footage from an incident that occurred on Friday, April 10. The surveillance footage revealed an unidentified male concealing his face with a black medical mask, selecting an espresso maker and toaster and placing them in a shopping cart. At approximately 4 p.m., the male pushed the cart containing the above items past all points of sale and out of the store. There are no exterior security cameras, and the male's direction of travel is unknown. The total value of the property stolen is approximately $625. The complainant stated that due to the store's footage review process, it took a few days for him to be notified about the larceny, which is why it was not immediately reported. An attempt was made to collect the surveillance footage, but due to store policy, the complainant was not able to provide the footage via email or physical media at this time. The case will be forwarded to the detectives unit for a follow-up. The investigation is pending. Weapons surrendered. A 76-year-old male requested to surrender 2 firearms on Thursday, April 16th. According to the report, the owner produced 2 long guns, a shotgun, and a rifle. The owner stated that he had possession of the guns for many years but no longer shoots them. He requested they be turned in for destruction. The guns were transported to the station. A check of the serial number on the shotgun did not return any hits through the National Crime Information Center database. A check could not be conducted on the rifle as it appears to have been manufactured before serializing firearms was required by law and thus was not marked with one. The report says both guns were placed in evidence for destruction. The next article is entitled Rotary Launches Training to Combat Human Trafficking. Rotary clubs across Western New York and Southern Ontario are inviting the public to join the fight against human trafficking by attending the first in a series of free regional training sessions. The event, titled Rotary Wants Your Help to Stop Human Trafficking, will take place from 11:30 a.m. to 2 p.m. Saturday, May 23rd at the first floor Park Place meeting space at Batavia Downs Gaming and Hotel, 8315 Park Road, Batavia. Doors open at 11 a.m. and a complimentary lunch will be provided. This will be the first of at least 4 geographically spread training opportunities planned throughout the Western New York portion of Rotary District 7090, Rotary's cross-border district serving Western New York and Southern Ontario. Additional sessions are planned in the Lockport area, the Southtowns, at Hilbert College, and the Southern Tier. The initiative is supported through contributions from 15 Rotary clubs, district designated funds, and a Rotary Foundation's global grant. Organizers hope the program will help participants recognize the signs of both labor and sex trafficking and understand that trafficking can occur in urban, suburban, and rural communities of every size. The Batavia training session will be led by Grace Parr and Camilla Jacobs of People Against Trafficking Humans of Western New York, PATH of Western New York. The presenters will define labor and sex trafficking, review common indicators and warning signs, discuss the vulnerability of youth to sexual exploitation, explore how social media and other factors are used by traffickers to target victims, and share information about available local resources and ways community members can respond. Additional input is expected from the Western District of New York Human Trafficking Task Force. Faculty and staff from Hilbert College will assist in developing assessment tools and measuring the effectiveness of the program. Future sessions will also feature trainers from Project Mona's House. Rotary leaders encourage broad participation from educators, healthcare professionals, law enforcement, first responders, faith leaders, parents, social service agencies, and community organizations. Rotarians are especially encouraged to invite non-Rotarians so that more people throughout the region can learn how to recognize and respond to trafficking. Registration is requested by Friday, May 15 to ensure an accurate count for lunch. Learn more at bataviarotary.org. You are listening to a reading of articles and features from the East Aurora Advertiser on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. The next article is the Erie County Sheriff's Report. Canine attack on school property. Erie County Sheriff's deputies responded on April 11 to a resident of Girdle Road in Elma who reported that while he was walking his dog on Iroquois Central School District property, he and his dog were attacked by off-leash dogs. The complainant was provided a phone number for the dog control office for a follow-up. In other area calls handled by the Erie County Sheriff's deputies out of the Clarence and Elma substation, April 11, a two-vehicle accident happened on the intersection between Bowen and Bullis Roads in Elma. The operators exchanged information. A side-by-side vehicle fled into the woods on Olean Road in Holland. Tire tracks were located and followed to a residence on North Canada Street. Two individuals were found in the garage of the residence who admitted to operating the side-by-side to retrieve food. The subjects were advised to pull over in the future. April 12. No incidents were reported on this date. April 13. The Alden Highway Superintendent was advised while reporting damage to the grass of the town park on Wendy Road in Alden. An injured goose was obstructing traffic on Walden Road in Alden. The animal was assisted off the street. A single vehicle accident happened on Bullis Road in Marilla, causing property damage. The report says the driver avoided a collision with a deer and subsequently went into the ditch. A property owner was spoken to regarding damage that was a result of an accident that occurred the day prior on Bullis Road in Marilla. April 14. A 26-year-old resident of the Tonawanda Reservation was charged with aggravated unlicensed operation on Crittenden Road in Alden. A two-vehicle accident occurred in a parking lot on Broadway Street in Alden. One vehicle backed into another, causing damage to both vehicles. There were no injuries. A vehicle was hit in the Salem Sports Park parking lot on Seneca Road in Elma, and the striking vehicle left the scene. The investigation determined that the striking vehicle was parked just a few spaces down and that the operator was unaware that he struck the vehicle. Olean Road in Holland was shut down for several hours after a vehicle brought pulled wires into the roadway. A vehicle went off the road and into a ditch on Four Rod Road in Marilla. It was winched out and driven home by the registered owner. April 15. A resident reported a package was stolen off his porch on East Aurora Drive in Alden. A 60-year-old Cheektowaga man was charged with DWI and multiple vehicle and traffic law infractions after a traffic stop on the intersection between Clinton Street and Bowen Road in Elma. A 3-vehicle accident occurred on Seneca Street in Elma. One vehicle was towed and the other 2 vehicles were drivable. Property damage was done and information was exchanged. A truck was left on a property on Willershire Road in Elma by a previous tenant. The vehicle's owner was unable to be contacted. The complainant was advised he could have the vehicle towed from his property. April 16. The Moog parking lot had an accident involving 2 vehicles and no injuries on Seneca Street in Elma. A U-Haul vehicle went off the road on Trace Drive in Elma. Flooding conditions were handled on Strikersville Road in Wales. April 17. After a traffic stop, a 68-year-old Elma man was charged with third-degree aggravated unlicensed operation on Seneca Street in Elma. A resident of Liberia Road in Marilla reported a suspicious phone call involving a scammer. The sheriff's report is intended to provide information about local enforcement and activity data provided by the Erie County Sheriff's Office. The Sheriff's Office does not usually include the names of subjects in its report. The next article is entitled Community Helpers Present at Alden Primary School. There's a photo of an environmental conservation officer wearing a dark hat and green uniform, holding what looks like a animal skin. And the caption under the photo is Environmental Conservation Officer Muchow speaks to young students at Alden Primary School about animals they might see in their backyard during a recent visit. On March 26th, Environmental Conservation Police Officer, ECO, Mucho spoke to Universal pre-kindergarten students at Alden Primary School in Alden for the school's Community Helpers series. Mucho explained the role of an ECO in protecting people and natural resources and showed the young students equipment used during day-to-day patrols. He also brought furs from animals the students may see in their backyards and explained the diets and habits of those animals. The children were attentive and asked Mucho questions about his job, prompting the teacher to ask him to return in the future. The next article is entitled The Rural Outreach Center Launches Search for New Executive Director. The Board of Directors of the Rural Outreach Center, ROC, has launched a search for a new executive director, retaining executive search firm Talent Rise to lead the effort. The search follows the planned retirement of founder and executive director Frank Cerny, who established the ROC in 2013 and has guided its growth into a nationally recognized model for integrated rural human services. Cerny will continue serving the organization in a transitional capacity for a period of time following the appointment of a new executive director. The ROC is dedicated to empowering individuals and families experiencing poverty across more than 60 zip codes in southern western New York. The organization provides a centralized hub of wraparound services, including mental health, counseling, care coordination, mentoring and tutoring, and financial literacy. The ROC serves participants through a holistic, trauma-informed approach focused on stability, dignity, and long-term self-sufficiency. On a broader scale, the ROC also supports rural communities through the development of affordable housing, workforce training, and integrated transportation and healthcare systems. The ROC is a place that provides care for people who have been overlooked for far too long, Cerny said. I'm proud of the work we've done to bring together people who are committed to addressing rural disparities and build something meaningful. I hope the organization continues to build on that foundation, growing its impact and helping to improve systems beyond our local community. The incoming executive director will report to the board of directors and provide vision, leadership, and oversight across all programs and personnel encompassing strategic planning, fundraising, community engagement, and serving as a visible external champion for the ROC's mission. The ROC is an equal opportunity employer and encourages applicants from diverse backgrounds to apply. The next article is entitled State-Owned and Managed Buildings Take Measures to Reduce Light, Prevent Bird Collisions. State officials are reminding everyone to take action to protect migrating birds as they navigate night skies by participating in the Lights Out initiative for buildings operated by New York State. Joining national and international efforts, buildings participating in Lights Out will keep non-essential outdoor lighting from affecting the ability of birds to migrate successfully throughout New York. Many species of shorebirds and songbirds rely on constellations to help them navigate to and from their summer breeding grounds throughout the state. Excessive outdoor lighting, especially in adverse weather conditions, can disorient migrating birds, a phenomenon known as fatal light attraction. Reducing excessive outdoor lighting helps reduce the number of birds that die each year in the U.S. from collisions related to fatal light attraction with windows, walls, floodlights, and the ground. Lights Out directs state-owned and managed buildings to turn off non-essential outdoor lighting from 11 p.m. to dawn during the spring migration from April 15 through May 31st, and during the peak fall migration, August 15 through November 15. State agencies are also encouraged to draw blinds when possible and turn off non-essential indoor lighting during Lights Out times. In addition to benefiting migrating birds, Lights Out promises sustainability and provides cost savings to the state. New Yorkers can assist with this effort by minimizing overnight lighting at their homes or on their properties. The New York State Department of Environmental Conservation encourages everyone to take steps to protect bird and wildlife habitat on their property by planting native plants and trees, removing invasive plants, and making windows more visible to birds, to minimize bird collisions. Birding enthusiasts can visit iBird New York at www.dec.ny.gov for more information on where and how to observe birds, upcoming bird walks, and a downloadable beginner's guide to birding. Information on the iBird New York Challenge and additional educational resources are also available there. The New York State Birding Trail Map is also available online and provides information on each site, such as location, available amenities, species likely to be seen, directions, and more. Digital information on the birding trail is updated periodically, so budding outdoor enthusiasts are encouraged to check back often. The next article is entitled Alzheimer's Association Presents Women and Alzheimer's Seminar. The Western New York chapter of the Alzheimer's Association will present a half-day hybrid conference focusing on women who are experiencing Alzheimer's disease or dementia in their lives, focusing on caregiving, brain health, and planning ahead. The conference, Women and Alzheimer's, Knowledge, Care, and Planning for the Future, will take place from 1:30 to 4:30 p.m. Friday, May 8th at the Orchard Park Senior Center located at 4520 California Road, Orchard Park, and online via Zoom. Women are at the center of the Alzheimer's crisis. Nearly 2/3 of those living with the disease and 2/3 of caregivers are women, Chelsea Torgalski said, who is a program manager at the Western New York chapter. Our expert speakers will discuss Alzheimer's and dementia's impact on women, practical tips to support brain health, and strategies for planning ahead. Guest speakers will include Paula Bidwell, a community educator for the Alzheimer's Association, and Linda Riker, Director of Clinical and Community Outreach at Hospice Buffalo. Individuals can register for the conference online at bit.ly/womenconf26 or by calling 800-272-3900. The event is supported in part by a grant from the New York State Department of Health. To learn more about Alzheimer's disease or other dementias, along with local resources for caregivers, call the above number, again 800-272-3900, again 800-272-3900, or visit alz.org/WNY. Next is the memories section, and we'll be starting with 60 years ago, April 23rd, 1966, Kiwanis President Wesley Handy and Marilla School Principal Alex Brown plant the first 25 flowering dogwood trees, which the Kiwanis Club of Marilla gave to the Marilla School, Town Hall, and Fire Hall on Sunday. Also present were members of the Kiwanis Agricultural Conservation Committee, which sponsored the project: Stuart Rowland, Robert Pierce, Alfred Frisch, Russell Webster, John Illig, Leon Snyder, Francis Roast, and James Handy. The dogwood had been named the official tree for the town of Marilla. And moving on to 100 years ago, the East Aurora Fish and Game Club this is April 23rd, 1926, the East Aurora Fish and Game Club will hold their annual reforestation program when approximately 130,000 trees will be planted. Planting teams consisting of adults as well as the Boy and Girl Scouts who will meet at the home of J.C. Colby on Oakwood Avenue. After a brief explanation on planting trees, each team goes on to an assigned planting site for about 2 hours of work. The last concert of the East Aurora Chromatic Club will take place this afternoon at the Roycroft Salon. It will be held at 3 p.m. by students of East Aurora. It is urged that those attending will be in their places on time, and the concert will begin promptly on the hour. Camp Tiwaiai of the Erie County Boy Scouts will this season be conducted for 3 one-week periods in August. All of last year's equipment will be available and improvements will be made before the opening of the camp, particularly in the mess hall and swimming facilities. The camp will again be under the direction of County Executive N.M. Miles, and all of last year's staff are expected to return. And again, that was Memories from 100 Years Ago, April 23rd, 1926. Again, you've been listening to a reading of articles and features from the April 23rd issue of the East Aurora Advertiser. We read from the East Aurora Advertiser every Saturday at 10 a.m. Your reader has been Jonathan Roger. Thank you for listening.
Coming up next on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service, we have a reading of the Niagara Gazette. At noon, we have the Dunkirk Observer. And at 1 o'clock, we have some of our Northtown Bees, including Amherst, Clarence, Cheektowaga, Lancaster, and Depew. Stay with us for these readings and more throughout the day. You're listening to the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. As of this year, our agency has broadcast more than 300,000 hours of radio readings. Volunteer radio readers read newspapers, magazines, and books to area people who are blind or have a print disability, who are provided reading radios. Radio Reading's broadcast signal is provided at no charge by WNED. Radio Reading broadcasts from studios at 1199 Harlem Road in suburban Buffalo. Please let others know about Radio Reading. It's your service. For more information on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service, call 716-821-5555. following program is intended for listeners who are blind, have low vision, or have another print disability,